to Belle's Library. I'm Heather, and today we are going to wrap up my June reading. This video is going to include my stats for the month and my second half of June's reading. I did do a mid-month wrap-up, and thank goodness, because I have 12 books to run through with you guys just from this last couple of weeks, which is just insanely crazy. So before we jump into all of that fun stuff, definitely get down below, subscribe and like to this video, and I also will have my Instagram and Goodreads linked for you guys, so you guys can go and follow me on those as well. And without further ado, let's just jump into this, because I am going to try and make this video not super long. So we'll go ahead and start with my stats for the month. I actually ended up finishing 19 books this month, and it was a little over 5,700 pages that I read, which is insane. I actually read more pages this month than I have any month yet this year, and 1,000 more than I read the month before in May, which is so much. And the crazy thing is I didn't even finish my TBR for Belle's Bookland. Like, oh my goodness, I just read all kinds of stuff and just got a little off track, but that's okay. So within that, I read 6 adult titles, 1 new adult title, 2 middle grades, and I think it was 10 young adult. Oh my goodness. You know what? My reading has been pretty darn good this year. I have enjoyed so many of the books I've been reading. So I actually had 6 5 stars, 7 4 stars, 5 3 stars, 1 2 star, and no DNFs this month, which is great because I've been DNFing books the last few months. I also was super surprised I only read 4 audiobooks this month. Like, who am I? I always read about half and half. I did have a few books, 3 books to be specific, in which I was partially listening and partially reading the book, so I kind of swapped back and forth. And then I had 8 that I completely read physically and 4 that I read ebook for. Now, when it comes to genre, I predominantly read fantasy this past month, and it looks like July is going to be very similar. If you guys haven't watched Belle's Bookland, it's a very entertaining one in which I get my butt kicked by Belle's Bookland, and I have a very large TBR, so you should check it out. I'll have it up top and down below for you guys. But in June, I read 9 fantasy books, 1 horror, 1 contemporary, 1 sci-fi. I also had 1 nonfiction, which is unusual for me. I had a mystery and 2 historical fictions, and then 3 romance, I almost said romanceathons. Romance books, because I read them for Romanceathon. What a concept. I did pretty good with having a good chunk of rep in my books as far as LGBTQ plus goes. It was Pride Month, so I had 6 books in which the representation was present, and then I had 4 where the representation was from the main character in the book, so that's slightly over half of my books had some form of representation in that way, which was awesome. I also read 3 books from authors of color and 3 books off of my bookshelf, and then I also finished a series, so we will get to that a little bit later in the wrap-up. That's the word I need. So yeah, I had a whole bunch of stuff going on this last month, and we're gonna get into that a little bit more. If you wanted to go back and check out my mid-month wrap-up, I had The Mermaid, the Witch, and the Sea by Maggie Takuta Hall in that one. Also, Daughter of the Burning City by Amanda Foody. I also read one of the Dear America series, The Voyage on the Titanic, and that one was by Ellen Emerson Smith, I think. And then I also read Second First Impressions by Sally Thorne, and Daughter of the Pirate King by Tricia Levenseller, Snow Glass Apples by Neil Gaiman, and Take a Hint, Dani Brown by Talia Hibbert. I think that was all 7 books that I had in my mid-month wrap-up, so you guys can definitely check that out if you want to get more reviews of those 7 books. And then we're going to jump into the next 12. I also have a few vlogs going on my channel that I read some of these books in. So I had Romanceathon vlog going on, so I read 3 books in that, and then I had 2 different Strangeathon vlogs, and I read 2 books in each of them, so 4 books total. So if you guys prefer more of a vlog style, you might check out some of those, and I'll make sure to link all that stuff too. Let's start with the graphic novels that I read at the end of the month here. I actually have 4 of them, and I'm going to have a video coming out soon that I'm really excited about with a bunch of the graphic novels I've been reading recently, so stay tuned for that one. But yeah, I have these 4 books here to talk to you guys about. I guess we'll talk about this one first. Okay, so Angel City, Town Without Pity by Janet Harvey. I picked this one up. So basically, I was just like super in the mood for some graphic novels and just went to my library and perused. And I thought this one looked really interesting. Like it's got like mobster vibes going on. And just, I don't know, it looked fun. Like the vibes of the front, like it just looked interesting. And we're talking about like this mob and this girl who's like kicking ass for them and taking names. And I was like, yeah, cool. Meet Dolores Dare, previous Hollywood hopeful, current enforcer for the Volante mob. This thing, like, it's a graphic novel. Usually they take me a day or 2 to get through. I took like over a week to finish this. I even took it on my trip to Tennessee to see my family, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll read a little on the plane or something, or no, I just didn't want to pick it up. So that probably was part of why I didn't really read when I was there at all. Just was trying to spend time with family, but I was totally lost in the story. There was way too many characters. Some of the characters looked too similar, and so then I was getting confused and mixing them all around. It just, yeah, it didn't like fully immerse me into it. I was pretty lost with all the characters, and there was nothing that made me enjoy it. So basically, we're following Dolores, like, works for the mob, but she ends up, this girl that she used to know is found in a dumpster, murdered, and she ends up kind of getting enveloped into the case of what happened to her, and connects into some of the different Hollywood people and also the mob, and just like, I don't know. That's about all I got. I really don't fully understand what happened in this book. So this one was a 2-star for me. So then I read Moonstruck by Grace Ellis and Shay Beagle, and this is volume 1, Magic to Brew, and I picked this one because like the cover is adorable, and I thought this was super cute looking. And I liked the art style. It's very bright and just fun looking. So we're following Julie, and she is a werewolf barista, and she ends up going out on this date with Selena, and things start going not so great when her friend Chet, they go to like see this magician show, and he has a very bad, what do they call it, spell. So basically, Chet gets involved in this horrible spell, and so they're trying to take down this magician and figure out how to like fix things. And this world is really cute. It's like full of different magical creatures, and they all kind of live in harmony with people as well. And just, you know, everybody's just kind of happy and open and whatever. But I ended up giving this one a 3-star. It didn't engross me as much as I wanted to, and I was kind of frustrated with the relationship. Like, I felt like we never really like they were like, oh, we just like totally like each other and this and that, but like then they just kept arguing throughout the whole thing and like not getting along, and I was just like, so are we gonna have any cute moments and sweet moments to like balance this out, to show me that you guys actually do like each other and maybe you want to see something happening here? I don't know. It just, so that piece for me just really didn't work. But the overall like storyline and idea with magician and them kind of taking down the magician and that kind of thing was fun. I liked the world. I thought it was really cute, kind of magical, fun world, and seeing all the different like, there's one girl that has like Medusa hair, and she's in a band, and you know, we have our werewolf barista, and yeah, I mean, that was fun. I liked that part of it. Chet is centaur, so, you know, that was different. There's things I liked, things I was just like, meh, so it ended up at 3-star. So then I also picked up this League of Super Feminist, and this is by Miriam Malay, And this one just looked like, I don't know, just it's about like feminism, and I don't read a ton about that kind of stuff, but I was like, oh, this is kind of cute. It'll be in like a little graphic novel way. So like this is friendship, and then they would talk about some of that stuff for a little bit, and then it would talk about, I don't know, let's see what another one is, romance. And so I really enjoyed the fact that this graphic novel, like, it just sheds light on certain things that you don't really think about until somebody sheds light on it for you and gives you that like knowledge, and you're just like, oh yeah, okay, I can see that now. And how we act and how the media portrays women in a lot of way, and so then it kind of colors the way that we act in the world with men and women towards women. And just, you know, very interesting. And she does cite some different like studies, and you know, you can tell that she really did her homework with this, and very interesting, which I enjoyed. So this was 4 stars. I thought it was a really good way to even like introduce it to a younger audience as well, or somebody that's kind of new to learning about feminism. I think this would be great for like younger people as well, just to get those gears thinking. So unfortunately for Folklores, I read that one and then this one, and so then I was like nitpicking this apart because I was just like, no, they didn't. Why are they treating this girl this way? And like, so I enjoyed this one less because I was analyzing it so much after having read that. So overall, like, it was a quest like plot line, which was interesting, and I liked like the very, very last page, the way they ended it, kind of to help lead into the next one, was kind of interesting. But basically in this world, everybody, when they turn 18, they basically say, I'm going to go on a quest and do this. And one of the things that they are not allowed to talk about or really do in this world is talk about the Folklores or go find the Folklores or anything. So our main character decides, he's like, that's my quest. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go find these Folklores. Like, I feel like I need to. He's been having dreams that, you know, where everybody dresses like this instead of, as you can see, everybody else dresses different. And so that's why he dresses that way. And he feels like there's something about this world that he is supposed to be a part of, or there's something about these dreams, and he wants to talk to the Folklores about it because they're supposed to be like really smart and whatnot. So interesting idea. Parts that I didn't appreciate was there was like one character where her quest was like, she's like, I feel like I don't fit in this body and this life that I'm in, and so I need to find somebody to kiss that's going to change that for me because, you know, whatever. And so she would just like go around and like kiss everybody, even if they weren't willing to. She would just be like, I'm going to go around and just kiss all these people. And I didn't really like that it was like kind of like I'm forcing myself on you, nor did I like the fact that she felt like that was what's going to make a difference and change her. And then at the end, I didn't appreciate, like, there's a girl character who kind of helps throughout the quest and everything. And then at the end, like, these dwarfs are like singing a song and basically like making it like she was a damsel in distress and he saved her and this and that. And I was just like, but no, she did just as much and like kicked some butt. So I didn't really like that. So then I was like, So, I mean, I probably could have enjoyed this more if I wasn't like thinking about those things, but I was, and so it kind of just brought down the fun for me. So I put this one at a 3 star as well. Okay, so now let's go ahead and move into the rest of the novels that I read. So I did read Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. And this is about the son of the president and the Prince of England. Basically, they kind of get into a tiff kind of a thing, and it gets into the media, and so they end up having to stage that they're friends and start talking and hanging out and doing these things, and then they kind of like spark up friendship and then a little bit more, and so it's kind of their romance story. And you know, when I first started this book, for the first like good half, I was like very into it, and I was like, this is really cute, I'm enjoying it, I'm feeling the story. And then about the halfway mark, I was like, really liking this direction. I didn't enjoy the fact that they kept like having these breakups and then get back together and break up and get back together. And I was like, this is being overdone at this point. You guys are just being ridiculous. And I was getting frustrated by that. I also don't know if I really liked the like politics behind the backstory piece, and so that was kind of losing me, and I wasn't super entertained there. And so then it just started feeling really long, because this is actually a pretty long romance book. It's a little over 400 pages, and so I was just like, I'm ready to be done with this book now. Like, it's just getting a little long for me. So I think if it had been condensed down a little bit, maybe I would have liked it more. I also am just kind of wondering if kind of this royal thing isn't my favorite romance type thing, or you know, like the politics side of it. It just may not be for me. So I ended up, because I did enjoy that first beginning, and I do think that there was a good chunk of pieces of the story that I did enjoy, I ended up giving this one a 3-star. So it was just kind of okay. So now moving into Fable by Adrienne Young. This is the story of Fable, and basically when her mom dies, out at sea, her dad, who's like this captain of this fleet of pirate ships, abandons her on this island and says, you need to stay here, and she has to learn to survive there. And it's, I don't know, like 5 years later or something, and she's like, I'm ready to get off this island, I'm gonna go find my dad, and I'm going to say I want my place as your heir and to be taking over. And that's kind of her story. And so she ends up on this ship, and she's working with, I think it's West, and I really enjoyed a lot of pieces of this. This actually ended up being a lot lighter of a book than I thought. I flew through it very quickly. I think I read it in like a day, maybe 2. It was pretty fast. It was very easy to just kind of go along with, and it was, I think it would be a really good fantasy type book for a more beginner fantasy reader, or people who don't read a ton of fantasy, because it isn't like super hard to get into, and you just kind of are along for the ride. So I really appreciated that. I also really liked kind of the different characters that were on the pirate ship. They all had their own unique personality and almost kind of a found family feel, which I really appreciated. And Fable kind of, you know, was trying to fit in with them, but they all also have their own kind of secrets and issues from their past that they're kind of working through as well, and so they don't trust super easily. So I really enjoyed a lot of elements to this. The plot really brought it along well. I feel like there was, you know, a certain amount of action scenes, but then we also were getting some character development, so it was really well balanced in that way. There was like a slight romance going on between Fable and West. I don't know that plot line, I don't know, maybe it'll go somewhere in the next book. I felt like it was a little unnecessary, but I also, like, my image of West in my brain, it was like of this older guy and just like a fatherly type figure. So for me, it was like hard to invest in that, because I wasn't imagining what I think he was supposed to be actually like, if that makes sense. So anyways, I give this one 4 stars. I am very excited to get into the sequel of this one. It is only a duology, so, you know, I should be able to finish this one up soon. So this month I also read Taylor Jenkins Reid's new book, Malibu Rising, that came out. I adore reading her books. They always are just enjoyable for me. And so this one we're following the Riva family. There are 3 kids. You're actually like following each, or 3 kids, there's 4 kids. You're following the kids, but then you're also following kind of the backstory of June and Mick and how they met, and kind of their life back then, and then also a little bit of when the kids were kids versus now they're adults. And so you're getting a lot of backstory, which I found really interesting. Like, it just, so Taylor Jenkins Reid, like, she just does beautiful characters. Like, you know where they're coming from, and you can really like see them as people, and she just, the character work she does is just phenomenal. This one I feel like maybe wasn't my favorite. I don't think the plot was quite as strong, and so it was all in like one day. You're basically following them as adults in just this one day, and leading up into this party that they have every year, and then the party that night, and things always go crazy during the party. There's a lot going on. So I really enjoyed it. I feel like it was a really fun, like, kind of character-driven paced story. I just feel like I wanted maybe a little bit more happening to them, but it was only within a day, so then that was kind of hard. So overall, I really enjoyed it. I love her writing. I love her stories. I think that they are wonderful. I gave this one a 4-star, and so that's where that one's kind of hanging out at. So then I also read Number the Stars by Lois Lowry. I read this when I was a kid. I didn't remember anything about it. I just remembered seeing the cover, and I was like, I've read that, and I remember enjoying it, but I have no idea what it's about. So this is actually about following this girl during World War II, and basically they take in this friend's kids, and they aren't personally Jewish, but they're taking in this Jewish family's child so that they can help her get out of the country during World War II. And so you're kind of seeing, really, like, it was such a hopeful story to me. It's really sad and awful. Obviously, everything that happened during that time period is atrocious. But I found this story to be really hopeful in the fact that, like, humans were willing to risk their own lives for other people and, like, really put themselves out on the line when they didn't need to and have to, because they knew what was happening was wrong, and they were trying to do what they could to make it right the best that they could and get these people out before they were just all demolished. And it just, the ways they had to go about it, like, so amazingly creative and just innovative. It's just insane, really, and really shows you something about humankind in multiple ways. But for me, I took away that hopefulness instead of, like, just the total devastation of it. And so I really enjoyed this one. I think it's great for kids and very accessible to them, and because it is told through the perspective of the young girl that's the same age as the girl that they take in. So loved it, 5 stars. I would read it to your kids or have them read it because it's wonderful. Let's talk about another good one, Obsidio. I finally finished the Illuminae files. So this was the one series that I did finish this month, and this is by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. So in the Illuminae files, we are following, this planet gets attacked, and we're following, in the first book, Katie and Ezra. They escape onto these ships that happen to be in the areas. They were like science vessels, and they can't come and try and take some survivors out of there as they're just getting trampled by this mega corporation. But then, like, the mega corporation's like trying to go after them because they don't want any survivors, and Katie and Ezra are trying to figure out what is going on, really, like, who is this, who's trailing us, and trying to figure out. But there's also a lot of stuff going on the ships as well. And then subsequent novels kind of continue that story, but through some different perspectives. I really enjoyed Obsidio and how this wrapped up. It was a little bit sadder and darker for me, and also just, yeah, it was very intense. But the series, like, I mean, they're longer books, but I will just get sucked into them and finish them so fast. I just adore them. They're also told in mixed media format, which I adore. I just find it to be different and fun to be learning about everything through, you know, like, some of it's through video cameras, some of it's through emails and IMs, different memos, just all kinds of different stuff. And I really enjoyed this book so much. So I think Illuminae is still my favorite out of the series. And then Gemina, I would put in third, and this one would be, like, the second favorite. So Gemina wasn't my favorite out of the 3, but I still enjoyed it. It just wasn't as good, I feel like, as Illuminae and Obsidio have been. So really enjoyed the conclusion to this one, and I gave it 5 stars. So then we have Crown of Feathers, which I just finished up at the very end of the month. I squeezed this one in right at the end. This one's by Nikki Pau-Prado. So in this, we are following Veronica, and she and her sister Val find phoenix eggs, and they want to become phoenix riders like they used to be back in the day. Phoenix riders used to kind of rule over the world, and now they've been pushed out of the Empire, and if they do live within the Empire, they are taxed to death or they become bond servants. And being an animagus is one of the things you have to have in order to be bonded to a phoenix and be a phoenix rider. And pretty much being an animagus right now is not a good thing for just the reasons of the Empire's very oppressive of them. So, but Veronica and Val really want to be Phoenix Riders, and they found some Phoenix eggs and they're trying to hatch them, and so we're following that perspective. We're also following Sev, and he is actually a soldier in the Empire, but he's an animagus. He's just hidden it, and he ends up working with some resistance bond servants who are trying to work against the Empire from the inside. And we also follow Tristan, who is a Phoenix Rider in a secret compound that they're trying to keep quiet as they try to train more Phoenix Riders to kind of eventually, hopefully, make a comeback. So all about kind of Phoenix Riders and trying to overcome an empire. And there's some fun. Something that I really actually enjoyed quite a bit about this book was there are moments where it kind of tells you a little bit more of some of the story of the first riders or even the last riders that got defeated, and you get kind of some backstory, and it's really interesting to learn about them, and it kind of weaves into the story and how they're all connected, and it is just really fun. Actually, when I first started reading this book took me way longer than it should have. I was really like trying to push through it during Strangeathon because it was my last book I wanted to finish, and I think I was starting to get burnt out, and I was like, I couldn't focus on it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I really love the premise of this book. Am I not going to enjoy it? I was like going to be so sad because I've heard so many good things, and I've been really looking forward to reading this book. And I ended up putting it down for a couple days and just like I read like a chapter or two a day, but I really was just like, I can't. So I kind of I needed to back away from it. And then I one day just picked it up and I was just like engrossed in it. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so good. I think it was the moment. I just couldn't get into it. I just had been reading too much and my brain was just like, you need a break. And I took that break and then I came back and it was just like, oh my gosh, I was just super into it and I really enjoyed how it wrapped up. And I can't wait to continue in the series. So I ended up giving this one a 4-star. Almost there. 2 more books to go through. So I also read The Library at Mount Char by Scott Hawkins. And this is like the strangest, weirdest book. Like I've never read anything with this type of a plot. Like it was just, I still am not totally sure how to explain this to you. So in this story, we have this group of kids who are orphaned and then they are taken in by father. And he basically has this library and they're all raised there, and each of the kids is tasked with learning a certain catalog, is what he calls it. And it's basically like they have to specialize in this area, but they're also not allowed to talk about or teach the other kids outside of their own catalogs. Like they can only they have to kind of keep it to themselves in each area for whatever reason. I don't know. And they're all they all have to go through these books and catalogs within their area that he's basically written over many, many years. They kind of wonder if maybe he is God himself. And then our main character, Caroline, that we follow, her catalog is to learn language. And so she learns all the different languages and everything about them and can speak in all these different languages and all this stuff. But we also have one person's catalog is more about medicine and one is about animals and combat and just different stuff like that. So then one day, father goes missing and everybody's like, what is going on? And then, things are happening. They can't get into the library because it's been shielded off and protected, and so they're trying to figure out what's going on, and there's just chaos going on in the world, and it just goes crazy. But it is just so much more than that. It is, I don't even know how to explain this book. It's just really unusual and odd and different, and it fit perfect for Strangeathon, just so perfect for Strangeathon. It was very, very odd. Overall, I really enjoyed the fact that I was reading something that was different than I have read before. It was so different. The characters were well developed, they had their own unique personalities, and then we had some outside human characters outside of this group as well that really added into the dynamics and whatnot. But also just made it more confusing. So I was like, what? Because they kept like just changing the game with these humans and how they were kind of using them. I don't know. It was just strange. Okay, guys, it was just strange. I ended up giving this one a 4-star. And then the last book that we will talk about is What Big Teeth by Rose Zabo. And again, a very strange type of book. This one was very much reminded me of kind of reading a Shirley Jackson book, but we're following this girl and she is sent away by her family to boarding school, and so she hasn't seen them for years, and she has to come back home after an incident that happens at boarding school. And she was told not to come back as a kid, and so she's kind of like not sure how her family is going to accept her back or not, and she has to kind of deal with their more monstrous side. And so when she gets back, she's trying to get accustomed to kind of some of their unique, peculiar situations going on, and she's trying to learn more about them and figure out more about their world so that she can help kind of save them from the brink of disaster in a lot of ways, and kind of help take over managing the family and their estate and everything. And yeah, it was just, I don't know, I really enjoyed this story. It was different and intriguing, and I just was like, where is this gonna go? I was very like confused for a lot of the beginning, similar to Library at Mount Char. Very confused for a lot of the beginning of that one, but I was just like, I'm not really sure what is going on. Like, what are these people? What is this? You know, like, what can they do? I feel like there's more to our main character, and we were trying to like piece together different things, like what happened at the boarding school, and like if her family's monstrous, she's got to be monstrous too, right? Like, so what's going on there? What gifts does she have? Because she seemed different from a lot of the rest of the family. There's just a lot of different intriguing characters that all had this mysterious side that you were just trying to put together and figure out. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. It just gave me all the intrigue and strangeness and horror vibes, but it's not like, I guess I like horror books and I like when they're like super horror, but then also I like that kind of eerie, just kind of weird kind of horror where it's just like, you know, something's off, but you aren't totally sure yet and you're still trying to piece it together, and it's a little bit more slow action-y. And yeah, anyways, that's what this kind of story was. Just like Shirley Jackson writes, like it's very similar kind of a feel. So if you like Shirley Jackson's work, you may like this one. If you don't, you might not. I feel like this is definitely one of those books that some people are going to like and some people are not. I don't think it's well rated on Goodreads, probably for that exact reason. I ended up giving it a 5-star. I really enjoyed my read of it. So that's all of my reading for the second half of the month. And then obviously you can go check out the first half after this or before this or whatever you decide to do there. But hopefully you made it this far. If you did, then chat with me down below. Let me know. Just give me whatever emoji. We haven't done one of those in a while, so, you know, put something down there. Some sunshiny stuff or a little animal or something. And I will talk to you guys super soon. I hope you guys subscribed and you guys have a wonderful day. I'll talk to you later.